Hello, welcome back to A Course in Miracles. I'm Tomas, and thank you for joining me, as always. But I guess ego's not thanking us, is it? Well, let's unmask it and strip its ridiculous defenses yet again. Shall we do that? Oh, yeah. So much fun. All right. So the idea that we're working on today is lesson 2A in the workbook. And, well, we're going to revisit one of the foundational principles of the thought system of A Course in Miracles, along with our consideration of today's idea. So the idea is, what limits can I lay upon God's Son? What limits can I lay upon God's Son? So if you want to, and it comes immediately to mind when I think about it, what limits can I possibly lay on God's Son, right? This is not a question for us to invent ways to imprison one another, by the way. I realize that half in jest, half not, it could be read that way, right? Yeah. What limits can I lay upon God's Son today? Yeah, shall I bind him to poverty, jail, right? Should I bind him to being an outcast, a pariah, right? No, it's not that question. It's the other interpretation that we're going to consider. Can I possibly lay limits on God's Son? No. No, that's the answer that we're meant to work with and cultivate today. So the foundational idea of A Course in Miracles, one that's repeated throughout the text, and it's mentioned also here in the workbook, is the idea that simply ideas leave not their source. Okay. Ideas leave not their source. The Son of God, you, me, all of us, the Son of God leaves not its source. Capital S. Seriously. One with God means one with God. The extension of God means the extension of what? God. It doesn't mean 8 billion extensions that we call human and subdivide into these different things called genders and further subdivide into continents, nationalities, ethnic groups, political parties, religions, subdivision after subdivision, separate, 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 separating, 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 separating ad infinitum, right? The ego just continues to separate. So in illusions, we certainly lay limits on each other, don't we? Let's take a look at economic systems. What is that but a limit on the Son of God? To say that so-and-so can own a luxury yacht and this other person has to work for a starvation wage and can't afford groceries and may, out of necessity, have to turn to a life of crime. How is that not a limit on God's Son? Even the multi-billionaire with the fancy yacht still considers himself or herself a number, right? A bank account is a number, which implies it's not other higher numbers nor lower. It's all dualistic. So in the world of the ego, we do lay limits on each other. Yet in truth, it's impossible. You, the Son of God, leaves not your source. You have never left your source, i.e., God himself. And yes, if you prefer, herself, itself. As you can tell how I feel about those designations. They're just words. So use whichever one you want. How about that? It's a foundational principle of this course. Ideas leave not their source. So in truth, we cannot lay limits on each other or ourselves. We can't. In truth, that's not even possible. So it is, as a practical matter, a matter of our watching this video, right? It's a matter of our delving into this material or your spiritual practice, if it's something other than A Course in Miracles, or if this is something that you're using to augment a current practice as part of it, perfect. However you're using this material, the important thing is that you use it, right? That you apply it, that you take it to heart. That's what matters. Spirituality is all about practical application and experience. Yes, theory is important. It's important to understand these ideas, which is why I and other teachers spend so much time with our own experience as part of the presentation, describing and talking about them. Because as human beings, sometimes we need a lot of words to understand ideas. Sometimes we don't. But the real understanding comes from our experiencing them. That's how we know that these ideas are true. We go out there and we experience them for ourselves. Now, how do you do that? Well, you've got to apply the idea. And first, you've got to actually entertain the idea. A Course in Miracles says some things that may be quite shocking to you. They're definitely shocking to the ego. To say you're not a body, well, the ego refutes that categorically, doesn't it? And the fact that you're not a human being, the ego refutes that too. Because, I mean, you're not. That's a term that we made up for this thing, isn't it? Spirit is not human. God's not human. So all of our lovely little drawings of God the Father sitting up there as a white dude with the beard, throwing lightning bolts, thunderbolts from Olympus, right? Casting us down at whim. Yeah, bullshit. I hope you've called bullshit on that. That's fun to say, by the way. Isn't it? You're attracted to A Course in Miracles because you're ready for it. So Jesus just calls it like he sees it. He says, this does not exist. You are not a body. You are free, for you are still as God created you. Ideas leave not their source. Repeat it like a mantra. Ideas leave not their source. Ideas leave not their source. Ideas leave not their source. If that helps you, do it. There are many different ways to practice spirituality. Thank God, right? It's all by intelligent, divine design and planning. This course may be particularly effective for you. You may be deeply drawn to it, as I am, or you may not. And if you're not, that's all right. There's going to be another spiritual tradition that you're meant to practice. So to the extent that these videos and these workbook ideas provide you with some inspiration to practice, provide you with some impetus to forgive, to extend love, to contemplate these ideas, at least entertain them, It's very good, very powerful, and very beneficial indeed. So, whatever form your practice takes, work on it today. Apply these ideas, apply them, apply them. Well, and see what happens. You might like it a lot.